Women Nation, I'm Tara Setmayer, and this is the Setmayer Sound Off. All right, folks, we're going to talk about corruption and conflicts of interest this week because there's a whole lot of that shit going on right now. Not just the kind that's all about dirty money or backroom deals, because believe me, there's plenty of that happening too, but the kind of corruption that chips away at the very idea of honest and fair justice in this country, frankly. And I want to talk about what happens when corruption stops hiding and it becomes part of the entire governing philosophy of the United States of America. Let's talk about our illustrious Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Yeah, her. Because what's happening right now in this country under her watch is not just unethical, okay? It's freaking un-American. And we need to call this shit out. Pam Bondi's making headlines not for upholding the law, but for blatant conflicts of interest that, frankly, are undermining our rule of law. Pam Bondi is supposed to be the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. She's supposed to be the last line of defense for our justice system, for the Constitution. But instead, she's become a firewall for cronyism, cover-ups, and private profit. Why? Well, let's look at her record. Before stepping into the job of Attorney General, Bondi was a lobbyist, and not just for anyone. She worked for some of the most ethically compromised clients in the world. She lobbied for the GEO Group, one of the largest private prison operators in the country. Now, this is the same company that in just February secured a $1 billion 15-year contract to run Delaney Hall, the detention facility at the center of the controversy of Newark, New Jersey last week. GEO is a massive private prison company, and they're not just warehousing U.S. prisoners anymore. They are directly profiting off of Trump's cruel immigration crackdowns. Now, that Newark facility is part of this growing network of detention centers that are being used to imprison undocumented immigrants all over the country. And as we've seen, this administration has weaponized the Department of Homeland Security. They're out here snatching people off the streets, violating due process, ignoring court orders, and frankly trampling all over constitutional rights every day. So in this context, what happened at Delaney Hall last Friday in my home state of New Jersey is even more outrageous. Newark Mayor Ras Baraka was arrested, as you all saw, by federal agents allegedly for trespassing and interfering with ICE operations. Now, a sitting mayor handcuffed, perp-walked in his own city? This is bullshit. But there's more to the story. As mayor, Baraka sued GEO to block the opening of this detention center, saying it hadn't completed all of its building requirements. It's been controversial for a while. And when the GEO Group reached that $1 billion 15-year deal, they bragged about it in their message to investors, saying that this was, quote, a big revenue generator. The 1,000-bed capacity, it's also significant in advancing Donald Trump's goals of expanding these detention facility capacity things all over the country, moving it from 41,000 beds in New Jersey and Michigan and other states to 100,000 beds. Now, notice I said Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer's Love Fest a few weeks ago, remember that with Trump? Mark my words. This issue is going to come back to haunt her in Michigan also. Pay attention. But that wasn't the only outrage here. There were members of Congress. They were there on an official oversight visit. They were physically roughed up by ICE and Homeland Security investigator thugs. Now, videos show agents shoving, shouting, and blocking these elected officials from accessing the facility. Now, this is the same Delaney Hall now being run profitably by Pam Bondi's former client. Conflict of interest much? That doesn't even scratch the surface here. These arrests and the abuse of power that we're seeing from DHS and the DOJ, they're not just politically motivated, they're financially motivated, where every person detained under these aggressive immigration tactics becomes a revenue stream for private prison companies like GEO. And this cycle is brutally efficient, right? So you've got this Trump-era playbook that turns people into profit, ramps up deportations, increases arrests without warrants, bypasses due process, detains people indefinitely, then funnels them into facilities like Delaney Hall, all while private corporations cash in. And former lobbyists like Pam Bondi, sitting at the top of the justice system, just lets it happen. And when local officials speak out, what happens then? the government silences them. And it's not just Mayor Baraka. It's not just the members of Congress who are being manhandled. Let's not forget what happened in Wisconsin to that judge who was arrested a few weeks ago by federal agents in her courthouse. Now, she was allegedly obstructing ICE, and a federal grand jury actually indicted her this week, so there's more to come on what happens there. But the chilling effect it could have here is jarring. The Department of Justice under Pam Bondi is literally jailing judges, not for corruption or violent crime, but for resisting potentially unconstitutional acts. This is authoritarian territory. Meanwhile, Pam Bondi is under another scandal. A recent investigation by ProPublica revealed that she may have personally profited from insider information tied to Trump's media company, Truth Social. According to the report, Bondi was included in private investor briefings, even as she held a government post, and potentially stood to gain from a stock surge that she knew was coming. All while her public profile to promote Trump's business interests in the media. Come on. This is the same woman who was Attorney General, just signed off on a $400 million gift luxury jet from Qatar to Donald Trump. And guess what else? Qatar is another one of her former lobbying clients who reportedly paid her firm $100,000 plus a month. Yes, the same Qatar that Donald Trump once blasted as a sponsor of terror in his first term, but then softened on them right around the time his son-in-law Jared Kushner's family was seeking $1 billion Qatari investment to bail out their failing real estate venture at 666 Fifth Avenue in New York City. Watch this.
I think it's a great gesture from Qatar. I appreciate it very much. I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane. But I thought it was a great gesture.
Now, all of this stands in contrast to what the president said about Qatar the last time he was in office, when he accused them of being a sponsor of terrorism.
The nation of Qatar, unfortunately, has historically been a funder of terrorism at a very high level. And in the wake of that conference, nations came together and spoke to me about confronting Qatar over its behavior. So we had a decision to make. Do we take the easy road, or do we finally take a hard but necessary action? We have to stop the funding of terrorism. I decided, along with Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, our great generals and military people, the time had come to call on Qatar to end its funding. They have to end that funding.
And now he's kissing their asses and making deals for himself. Headline, Yahoo News: a luxury jet gift from Qatar, Trump crypto, foreign real estate deals, a guide to Trump's biggest corruption concerns. Quote, critics say the president is now openly enriching himself in ways that make the ethical complaints of his first term look quaint in comparison. You think? Guess who else got money from Qatar as a consultant? Trump's unqualified, wackadoo, insane FBI director, Kash Patel. How much money? We don't know. We don't even know what he really did for them, because he never disclosed it on his financial documents. How did this guy get confirmed? I will never understand. Shame on anyone who voted for him. Now, according to Mother Jones, Patel is one of several Trump administration officials with financial ties to Qatar. Quote, Patel is just one of several top Trump administration aides who have had financial ties to this Arab monarchy. Susie Wiles, Trump's chief of staff, worked for a lobbying firm that represented Qatar. Attorney General Pam Bondi lobbied for the Qataris. Mike Huckabee, now U.S. ambassador to Israel, was paid $50,000 to visit Qatar in 2018. Steve Witkoff, Trump's special envoy to the Middle East and Russia, also pocketed money from Qatar. In 2023, Qatar's sovereign wealth fund bought the Park Lane Hotel from Witkoff's company in a $623 million deal. What? I'd also like to remind everyone that when Pam Bondi was Attorney General for Florida, she dropped an investigation into Trump University. When? Right after her political committee received $25,000 from Donald Trump. Yes, a donation. Now, all of this was out there in public record, okay? And again, how the hell she was confirmed as AG, I'll never understand. That should have never happened, and no Democrat should have ever voted for her. So let's review. We have a sitting attorney general, formerly lobbied for foreign governments like Qatar, a private prison company, and is now approving billion-dollar contracts and foreign gifts, and is overseeing the rest of judges and mayors and potentially members of Congress next. What the actual fuck? And the Republican Party, well, they're silent. They don't give a shit. These are the same Republicans, and I will never let this go, who demanded that Hunter Biden's laptop be treated like a national security emergency. They spent years falsely accusing the Biden family of corruption over bullshit, unproven foreign business ties. But now, when Pam Bondi's waving through private prison contracts and foreign cash gifts and retaliatory arrests, oh no, suddenly the rule of law, that doesn't matter, doesn't apply. This isn't just about lobbying or consulting, it's about laundering influence. So let me be clear. If a Democratic Attorney General had done anything close to what Pam Bondi has done, if they'd lobbied for Qatar, then greenlit a luxury jet for a Democratic president, if they jailed a mayor and roughed up Republicans in Congress, the GOP would be fucking losing it. Fox News would be running countdown clocks, blaring chyrons, Congress under siege by corrupt Democrat president. There would be emergency hearings, calls for impeachment. They'd be screaming about this daily. But because it's their team now, they pretend that this is normal. Let me tell you something. This is not normal. This is unconstitutional. This is unethical. This is un-American. We are watching a Justice Department that no longer protects justice. We're watching the Department of Homeland Security act like a secret police force, like the freaking Stasi, arresting people without cause, detaining them without due process, and then using fear as a weapon. That ghoul, Stephen Miller, the architect of all of this, especially Trump's immigration policies, he's openly now discussing suspending habeas corpus. Now that's the constitutional right to challenge unlawful detentions. He's coming for Americans next. Watch.
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not.
Well, that's just great. The Constitution is not a suggestion, okay? It's the foundation of this country, Stephen Miller. The rule of law is not supposed to depend on your political connections or your profit potential, Pam Bondi. We've got to keep shining a light on all of this. Because once these lines are crossed, where justice just becomes some transactional thing, where power replaces principle, we never get this back. So I'm telling you right now, we cannot let this stand. Because if we do, it's not just about one jet or one prison contract or one arrest. It's about whether we still live in a free country governed by laws or under the rule of people who don't give a damn as long as it profits them. That's it. That's this week's Setmayer Sound Off. Thank you to everyone who likes and subscribes. Please share this, pass it along. People need to know what the hell's going on here. And if you want to hear more from me, you like it, check me out every Thursday at 7:30 live right here on YouTube for my show with the Seneca Project, The Stakes. And you can also check me out on Substack for my Substack Uncompromised. Thanks so much. See you next week.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.